And so,
Appreciate that.
no problem. And also, so getting into the Boston Celtics, we could all say my dad's a huge Celtics fan. So for me, when I first got into basketball, it was just all about Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale. Like, my dad went to school in Bentley in the 80s. So
Okay.
he and his roommate's dad worked in the front office at the time. So experienced a lot of good basketball. And for me, I've only seen losses of the Boston Celtics. I didn't start getting into basketball fully until the year after they won the championship, because that's when the big book of basketball by Sports Illustrated came out and they were featured in it. And then first time I saw them, they lost in 2010 against Kobe after Kobe beat, I was living in Orlando at the time, they beat my freaking Magic. So I was upset that this year that we could, I think if you agree with me, one of the major catalysts of this team was they didn't have any scoring off the bench. That's what the biggest thing, and they addressed it. So what do you think of the offseason and free agency so far by the Celtics in your point of view or perspective as a Celtics fan? How would you interpret it or like dissect it?
The bench production as a collective on the team was something that Brad Stevens said that he wanted to address and make a point in revamping the team. Udoka, you have a team of 15 and he used 8 guys for pretty much the entire season. And we saw it affect them down the stretch in the finals. Guys are just way too winded. So being able to have a team where Udoka feels comfortable of using 10, 11, 12 guys a night is key. And I think I'm a huge Brad Stevens guy as a coach and a GM. So I think he's just crushed it ever since he's been sitting in the big chair. But this offseason, you needed production, playmaking, and scoring off the bench. I think he got 2 guys in Gallinari and Brogdon who fill that mold perfectly. I guess there's been talk about before Brogdon signed here that they had envisioned him being in the six-man role off the bench, and he's open to doing that, whatever the role is. He wants to do it. But yeah, the way that this offseason has gone, really just making those big 2 moves. I'm unsure if they're going to use the TPE. I really feel strongly about the Summer League team, and I think Brad does as well.
So, thinking about the Summer League team is, I know one of the guys, Summer League standout last year, Sam Hauser, he got the 3-year deal this offseason. So I think he'll actually, because they need shooting. This is another thing that they needed shooting. Like, defense is fine. Like, they haven't figured out. You might want, like, there is some worry. Al Horford, will he be able to reproduce that at the age that he is? But at the same time, if you look at the team right now, Danilo is going to probably play power forward and actually probably play some small ball 5, unless they envision him playing like a Lowry Markkanen role. How do you feel about that? Like, I think he's just going to come off, and I think Malcolm Brogdon and Danilo Gallinari are kind of going to be similar to how Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson were a year ago for the Utah Jazz, where they could both be in the 6-man year of the year race, because Danilo is going to be Jordan Clarkson, green light, shoot as many threes as you can over people. And then you're going to have Malcolm Brogdon be Joe Ingles, who's able to score, but really just facilitate the offense. How do you think?
I'd agree with that. And that's exactly going to be Gallinari's role. Come in and shoot. Obviously, the nucleus of the Celtics, even dating back to Brad Stevens as a coach, has been defense. You get on the court by playing defense. Gallinari, I think guys were shooting 50% over him last season. Defense just isn't. I think it's expected. You're not going to get stellar defense out of him, and I think that's okay. I think for the role that you need him to play, score points off the bench, you can come in and do that. But yeah, that's a good comparison, I think. Especially with Brogdon, because Brogdon can do so many things. And the Celtics definitely have a type that they like in point guard, because they have 3 guys who can all sort of do similar things in Brogdon, White, and Smart. But yeah, I'm more interested in the Gallinari role. I think there's going to be a lot of expectations on him, and same to your bringing it back to Hauser. I think there's going to be a lot of expectations on Hauser, and I'm unsure if he can actually deliver or not. That's a big question that he'll have to answer, and the Celtics are relying on him, especially on the bench, given the contract and everything that's going on this offseason. I think he's going to be expected to play a big part in the bench with Gallinari. I feel like they're sort of setting the bench up to be its own mini sort of unit in its own. You have Brogdon as the point guard. You have Gallinari and Hauser who can play the wings. And then, get another shooter in there, I guess,
Grant Williams at center. Would you go small as right there to go find out?
I guess it depends really what you do. Really with the starting unit, obviously, this sounds silly to say, but if they're going to run with the two bigs or not, because then that means, Al Horford could come in for the second unit, which I guess you could have Grant as the 4 in that unit, and you'd have Gallo at the 3, I guess Hauser at the 2 with Brogdon at the 1. But I guess it really just depends on how they want to do it. I guess with the second unit, maybe you do want to go a little small, where that would make Grant the 5. But yeah, I mean, Grant's great on defense. I'm not too worried about where he is defensively. But yeah, I do think in all the moves that they've done is so that they can actually have a second unit run on its own. And I think that's going to alleviate minutes, obviously, from the core, which, as I said before, I think fatigue played a part down the stretch in the finals last year.
Yeah, definitely, because they were literally running a 7-man rotation, 8-man rotation some nights. It was absurd because the starting lineup was Williams, Horford, and, well, I should say Williams the third, so to differentiate them. But Jalen, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart, and then you basically just had off the bench Grant Williams and Derek White. That was it most nights. But
right.
So I was going to get into the lineups and the players in a sec, but who do you think from the Summer League so far has impressed you that could earn a two-way contract or bottom of the roster spot? Because one could argue they might need another big, and it might be in their best interest to try to find like a poor man's version of Robert Williams III or someone of similar to Al Horford. Like, they missed out on Jalen Williams. I was wishing they got Jalen Williams from Arkansas so bad.
Right. Yeah. No, that would have been a great pickup. In terms of that, so the Celtics, as I understand, have 3 open roster spots and 1 two-way spot available after they technically signed JD Davidson to one of their available two-way slots. Mm-hmm. So of those 3 roster spots, well, I guess you could say 4 with the open two-way, I really think that those guys are on the Summer League team right now that are going to fill out the bottom end of this roster. I don't think they're really going to make a big splash with the TPE. If we're talking about the big man, I am so high on Trevion Williams. Since they got him, I think they got him on draft night, actually, to the Summer League team, like later on that night. I've been really big on him. He can pass. He is, I guess, in a different set of words, I guess, but I guess he is the poor version of Robert Williams.